and gentlemen, holla and a bro fist to you all for once again the steaming, sweltering UK right now, one of the hottest places in all of Europe, and I am sat here in the drifting nightmare that is surrounded by PCs, lights, and all kinds of stuff. And oh goddamn, so you'll have to put up with a bit of chest being out. Unfortunately, it is the nature of the beast. It's got to be done. It is a way it has got to be. And that is how it is going to be. Good afternoon to you all. I hope you had a tremendous day. We just took part in the Quest 2.0, a community-driven quest involving people, actors, background, extras on a journey of discovery. I'm not going to spoil it, but it was pretty goddamn fantastic. It was pretty goddamn fantastic. And not only that, we have double-checked. And she lives. She lives, my friends. She lives. She has survived the flood. She works, and we are just a few days away from Final Fantasy 16. We will be jumping in and making it work as the PS5 does live on. A few complications to fix, but nothing out of the ordinary for capturing games and things. And so we will get it fixed. Yes, we will be there at the launch of FF16. And to put it out to everybody who doesn't get to catch our live streams, one, we miss you. We wish you were here. And also, we're not playing the demo, okay? We're not playing the demo. We're not doing that. That's not happening. We're not going to play the demo because we're going to play it when it comes out, so it's all fresh and new and magical. That's what we're going to be doing. We're going to play it on the day. So there'll be no demo to go through or anything like that. We're going to enjoy it. And for those of you who played the demo, I hope you enjoyed it. I heard wonderful, wonderful things, and I can't wait to get involved, but I will wait so we can go through it and enjoy it all together and all that. It comes out on Thursday, but it looks like it's Wednesday night, actually. Midnight Wednesday is what people are checking on their PS5s. Thankfully, Squeenix is providing us with a copy of the game. They want us to enjoy it. They want us to see it and breathe it and live the dream. So we're going to have a lot of fun, and we will be including a PS5 giveaway. I know one of the biggest walls for people being able to play FF16, as it is a PS5 exclusive, is that PS5. So during that FF16 play, we will have a PS5 to give away to you. And we're just getting it from Amazon. So essentially, any countries that are eligible for Amazon, we're getting it from there. So if there's somebody who's like can't get it, who wins and things, we'll see if we can figure something out. Either I get it and send it to you or something like that. We'll see how it goes, all right? We'll see how it goes. Hopefully, it's a nice, simple process to provide you with your glorious Sony PlayStation 5 to enjoy. So that is the nature of the beast. That's what we're going to do. It should be a ton of fun. But it's not why you're here right now. Although you should be here on Sunday because we're going to be playing Exo Primal together. We have a link to get everybody a copy of the game to dive in and check it out. Should be super fun. Team-based dinosaur murder we'll be doing here on the stream on Sunday afternoon. But right now, it's drama time. Weird and wonderful stories that you guys have provided us with that occur to you in the online world, dealing with all those strangers who have one thing in common. They have a keyboard. With that keyboard, they do spread their wiles to all of us so we can all enjoy their presence. And so that is what we're going to do today. And usually it's either red flag stories that you should watch out for if it's happening to you. Or sometimes it's fun stories of things that have happened to you. And sometimes it's depraved and horrible acts that's terrifying in many, many ways. So no name for what we're going to start with. But we're starting with the Talisman, which sounds like it's got a lot of mystery to it. Oh, God, I've just read the first sentence and I'm already horrified. I am horrified by the first sentence. Hello, Preacher, and the absolutely astute, adept connoisseurs that are your chats. Now, that's some buttering up. That's some real buttering up there. Astute, adept connoisseurs. Like a fine whiskey. That's what you guys are, apparently. A fine whiskey. I wish to tell you, Preacher, that as I write this to you, I am 34 years of age. But I began my gaming journey, much like many others, at the tiny age of 12 from my home country, the home that I hail from, Scotland. To be fair, besides the obsession in Scotland of covering everything in cheese, despite what it might be, it obviously needs more cheese and bacon to go with it. If it's oatmeal, it needs cheese and it needs bacon to go on top of it. If it's a steak, it needs cheese and it needs bacon to go on top of it. I had a wonderful time in Scotland. It was beautiful. I had a great time up in the Cairngorms, which is where I spent my wedding anniversary this year. It was wonderful. When I was 12, a wee boy of 12, I would go around to my uncle's and watch him play Ultima Online. My mind was frigging blown. There were loads of other players on his screen, all in different coloured armours and steeds, and the game was huge. I was so hooked. All I wanted to do was play Ultima Online, be a part of that world myself. And, thankfully, my awesome single-parent mother bought me a PC so I could play for myself and be around the house more. Well played. He had a private server. It had a peak of 250 players, which was a hell of a lot back then. And I think private servers were the norm. I believe so. However, installing Ultima Online was a nightmare. You had to find a download, install, find the individual patches yourself, follow a guide on the order to install the patches on the server's website, and go through them one by one. God, do I not miss back in the day. Everything is way easier now. We were just bitching about how often Sony updates the PlayStation, because we had 3 updates when I finally turned the PS5 back on, 2 controller updates and 1 software update, and then all the games were updating in the background as well, which I didn't know about. But generally speaking, it is easier now. When I finally got that opportunity to log in, you started with a classic robe and dagger, and that was it. To make money, you had to start killing cows and murdering them to sell their hides. However, if you went to kill a cow with a fresh character, that bovine nightmare would murder you into the floor, turn you into chud in 3 hits. Before you could even get the balls, the stones to attempt to kill some cows, you had to start young. You had to start with the rabbits. Those cute bunny ears were not long for this world in order to level my strength. This hardcore start, along with the hassle of installing, meant that the server was 100% a massive fucking cockfest. There was no girls that were ever going to bother with murdering bunny rabbits as the first thing to do in a game. I'll have you know, there are many ladies out there who have no qualms about butchering all the bunnies. Many. And they'll be there. They're probably back in 20 years, 22 years ago. They're probably just not telling you that they're girls. Because you know why. Frankly. You know why. At this point, I just want to give you a little summary of Ultima Online. There was no spell timers, and you could cast and move. You also had to recognize the spells from the animation, and then remember how long they took to cast, so you could interrupt with a quicker spell or melee or line of sight. To craft, you had to have the correct items in your bag and enough of them, or the item wouldn't even appear in the craft list. Oh god, loads of games have used that system, and it's awful. It's so bad. I think Breath of the Wild did that as well, actually. Like, even pretty recently, I've seen that system in play. No, Breath of the Wild had you craft stuff randomly. Yeah, that's how Breath of the Wild works. You would just throw shit together and something might pop out. Imagine at the start how long it took us all to learn to craft all the armors and weapons, decor, potions, scrolls, etc. Considering you needed to craft nails and widgets, etc. It took me about a year and the other players to learn most of the recipes, because it was just tough shit if you only had 4 hinges in your bag and it required 10. Some of the rarest weapons weren't crafted until 2 to 3 years after the server went live. But let me go forward 1 year. I was good friends with a Brazilian player called Hercules, who had some of the rarest items in the game, and he was one of the richest players. One day, he noticed that some items were missing from his house. This was a major deal, server-wide, that somebody had started to steal from him. If someone moved an item in your house while you were there, you would see it getting dragged. However, if you were hiding the animation, this wouldn't happen. Nobody knew this, however, as nobody used the stealth skill, as it was bollocks and unreliable. Apart from one dickhead. Preach and the court. I am now free to tell you, 22 years later, it was me. I was stealing from Hercules for months before he noticed. I can tell you that Hercules never worked out it was me. Because someone was stealing from him, and he felt that the server was no longer a good, honorable place to be, he quit the game once he realized that people were stealing from him. And in the cruelest, twisted irony, as I was his closest friend, he left everything he had left to me. However, while this was, of course, a big win for me, what I really wanted, and why I was stealing from him all this time, was I wanted to be known as one of the legendary player killers on my server. I wanted people to respect me. I wanted people to know that when they saw my name that they were in trouble. I was known as one of the top player killers, the best even at the time, but to be mentioned along with names like Timothy's, Mugrim's, Alcazar's, Inzaki, legends of the game, heroes of the game. You had had to win one of the 1v1 tournaments, which were held maybe once every 1 or 2 years. At this point, I was 17 years old. I knew Ultima Online inside and out. The great thing about UO was that it rewarded skill. I could not only survive, but kill 4+ players trying to kill me if I played my arse off. If you felt like a god, then you knew you were a god. One of the top players, Alcazar, had taken me under his wing when I first died, taught me everything. I was widely considered, and I don't say this for ego or for boosts, but I was widely considered to be one of the best players on the server. People knew me as unkillable. However, it was that time. It had arrived. I had waited patiently. It was time for the 1v1 tournament. And the arenas were maybe half a screen big, and therefore was a totally different style of PvP. Let me add some context to this. Maxed out WoW players probably play 80% instance content, be it PvP or PvE. Dungeons weren't instances, so you could get killed and looted by other players, losing all your gear and looted items from that dungeon. Ultima Online was 95% open world gaming. The previous winners of the 1v1 tournaments had all played since the server launch. My time had come. What I had wanted for 5 years was in front of me. The tournament began. I won the first 5 in under a minute. I'd straight moved to the semi-finals, where my draw was against Gigaros. Gigaros was in the same boat as myself. We both had huge respect for each other. Simple things like only looting items we really wanted from each other, then rezzing each other if we ever fought in the open world. The reason I was so good was because I used skills like stealth that nobody else did. It was unusual, so people didn't know how to counter it. However, Gigaros is known as Gigaros because he knows. I don't think there was anything in this game that Gigaros didn't know. And when Gigaros knew he was drawn against me, Gigaros went old school. He went old school Dispel and Melee. He used a tactic that nobody had used for literally years. Gigaros brought me to 30%. I was losing badly, and the server crashed. The server restarted. I offered to start at 30% unbuffed like we were before. As I said, I wasn't out to cheat Gigaros. I wanted the respect. Gigaros crushed me. And I don't mean just like won the fight. Even though I got to start again from full health, fully buffed again, Gigaros made me look like the mold between some old person's toes. I lost so fast it was embarrassing. Gigaros never went below 80% HP. 5 years I had waited for this. And that dream was over. Gigaros, of course, went on to win the whole thing. Joined the legends of the game. I would go on to be known as one of the best. But I was no Gigaros. and I would not be mentioned in the same mystical breath as the other UO legends and Gigaross. And so I gave up. It was time to move on. I had tried and I had failed. As it happened, a new game called World of Warcraft was out. I needed a new life and a new start. Into vanilla World of Warcraft I stepped. 2 of my friends had started on a server called Ajol Narub. Told me to come level up, join them when max level. I decided I would play an undead mage. My friends helped me a few times while leveling, but for the most part I was left to solo and suffer as I waded my way through vanilla World of Warcraft. I loved the darkness and the ambience and the immersion of the undead starter zone. I still remember reaching Brill and seeing the 100% speed undead mount. The minute I seen it, I wanted it. I was blown away by the size of the crossroads and the barrens. There was a PvP going on. Probably wasted hours attempted for my little newbie ass to kill level 40s. 1 second, I need to close the door. My kids are home and I can hear them shouting. My favourite zone leveling was probably the Western Plaguelands because of the side quests at each farm. I really enjoyed them, felt like I was walking amongst the dead. Plus, I finally got revenge on those level 50 plague bears. I hit 60. Immediately, Battlegrounds with my 2 friends. Sadly, they didn't like PvP. And not long after, they just left WoW for being cartoony and poor. I have never heard from those 2 friends again. Luckily, while queuing, I made friends with a pre-made group who would invite me if they needed a player. Within a week or so, I was part of the team, and I would go on to be High Warlord. During the PvPing, I joined a guild who, like many, couldn't get past Ragnaros for a while. I ran Molten Core and Ixia hundreds of times, taking nearly no loot, due to me not being eligible because I had good PvP loot. My DKP, though, was through the roof. The only item I needed to enhance my PvP godness was the Trinket of Ephemeral Power. I raided Molten Core for all of vanilla. It didn't drop a single time. Of all the runs we did, I missed 1 Molten Core raid. And in that raid, 2 of them dropped. When I heard what had happened, I quit the guild. And joined a merge of a few guilds. Fuck it, I am done. I am out. Screw this. I'm not living. Every time. Every goddamn time. This is what happens when you become a loot-thirsty butt muncher. Right? This is the karma paying you in the ass. I left the guild. I heard of a few guilds joining that would become a super guild. Their plan was to kill everything. They would clear Blackwing Lair. They did a bit of AQ40, but I'm sad to say the super guild never even entered Naxxramas Necropolis until the Burning Crusade arrived. I think the TBC was the best version of WoW. Potentially my favourite game ever. I loved it that much I could talk about it for days. It was perfect. It started with me re-rolling to a Blood Elf Pally. I played for 48 hours straight. I remember feeling funny walking up my stairs after a toilet break and instantly collapsed into 7 hours of sleep. I played it as a healer. I loved it. I was also so good at it. While running dungeons for gear, I would sometimes group with members from my old guild. They had kicked all the baddies, they said, and what was left was a crisp, beautiful 25-man roster, but no one had rolled Paladin. They promised me glory. They promised me that all the baddies I had known back then, those idiots that had taken my trinkets, were gone. So I came back. I had a blast. I even loved doing the achievements. Heroic Blood Furnace with 360 one-shot cleaves to non-tanks. We would clear all raids, pre-major nerf patches. The build-up, all expansion for Black Temple, and for me it never disappointed. I loved that place. But then it went a bit meh. For some reason, the officers didn't want to go into the Sunwell when it launched. We were geared for it. Ilana had died a long time ago. I wanted to try it even if we didn't kill anything. I didn't care. For a couple of weeks, I had to ditch them, ignore their server burnout, and join onto another server who would go on to kill Kel Jaden. The thing is, the last raid before I left that guild, I got the Paladin set shoulders to complete my set bonus. I've been unlucky with drops. A Shadow Priest in that guild wasn't too happy that I got them ahead of him by loot council, as I seemed to be getting funneled gear for being a good healer. Now in the Burning Crusade, everyone knows how much raiders had to farm consumables. So with that said, since halfway through the expansion I would AFK macro fish, I would cook up buffs for myself in the guild bank. I don't know how it took so long, because I assume I was grassed on pretty immediately after moving guilds. But a couple of weeks after moving guilds to my KJ farming one, my account was banned. And it wasn't one of them pussy bans like you got, Preach. It was a permaban. I still occasionally try and log into that account to this day, and it still sits there banned. I tried to get it unbanned after maybe 6 years ago, but Blizzard told me to fuck off. I ask you, audience and Preacher, do you think AFK fishing is worthy of a permanent ban? I don't see much difference between what you did and what I did, for example. Yeah, you used a third-party program to completely destroy the economy. What I did hurt me. And I didn't use any third-party program. I used Blizzard's own tools. I used just what was in the game, right? You know what I mean? You used outside software to completely disrupt the economy. We are not the same, okay? We are not the same. I took what was even considered a heavy slap on the wrist for what I got. A lot of other people didn't get banned anywhere near as long as I did. I took mine. I was done with WoW, obviously. My account gone. My Warlord gone. All the achievements I'd made, all the gear gone. But fuck, it was a good game. DBC was the greatest ever. But I think I played every day until the ban. Shortly after I was banned, and Blizzard must have known this, the trailer for Wrath of the Lich King arrived. There was Arthas. He was coming. And I had to be there. They gave us a French server called Azure Mist in Wrath of the Lich King, so I thought, I'll start there. People don't know me. I could go fresh. It's different. I moved over to the Alliance, made myself another pally. I would form my own raiding guild with a fellow reroller called Tolleen. He had cleared Nax Ramus in vanilla, but have not played since. Oh. We got server first for 10 and 25 man Nax, Obsidian Sanctum, and Malygos, but recruitment was nearly impossible. Even by offering pretty much guaranteed server first titles. No one. Just no one. We had to go and join another guild. My dreams of being a hero were not going to work. But we loved it there. I would go on to a real-life clan meet people, spend time with them, even though it was, unfortunately, in England. Fuck you, man. Specifically Southampton. Okay, now I understand. Alright, that makes a lot of sense. Southampton, I get it. However, after killing Yogi normal mode, things really went downhill. Nobody was interested in hard modes as I was. I applied again to a top 5100 guild at the time, and I was accepted. I hadn't experienced this level of raiding since the Sunwell. We would kill all hard modes in Ice Crown and get the dragon mounts. However, the cost, of course, yet again, was friendship. Tolleen believed in the guild we were building together. In his mind, playing with a close friend, even if it meant that we were a little slower, was fine, because he was having fun. Tolleen never forgave me for leaving, and neither did the rest of the guild that I had invited to my guild. At 34 now, I definitely think I should have stayed. I wouldn't have done any hard modes, but I would have still had some friends that I had made along my online journey over the years. After Wrath, I quit for good. Then at age 30, I got ill for 6 months and was off work. Legion was out. I read it was the expansion with Kill Jaden. And for me, it was like seeing Arthas again. I got one of them free level boosters. Did 10 levels to max. Did all the quests and lore. Used the raid finder for raids because I just wanted to experience the story of KJ. I actually really enjoyed the transmog system. And as a prop pally, I was the perfect class to solo old raids. I used raid finder when KJ was out, killed him. It felt like closing a chapter in my book. I then ran some old raids to finish my transmog. And it dropped. It fucking dropped. Over the years, I think I've clocked up 300 to 400 Molten Core runs. Maybe even more. I can't remember if it was trash or a boss, but it was in my bags and I hadn't even noticed. A talisman of ephemeral power. Over a decade I had been hunting this trinket and there it was. I remember in real life I actually sat for a few moments. Seeing this item gave me a nostalgia blast, worse than any Marvel movie. I went back in my mind to Vanilla WoW and how much I wanted this thing and never got it. I looted it, teleported, and uninstalled World of Warcraft. I was done. There was nothing for me to chase anymore. Sure, there'll always be new items, but of the things I craved, the things I needed, all gone. I'm an older man now. I have a young family. And I sit here and I tell you, I don't even own a PC anymore. You may declare me guilty, audience, but 100% of my gaming in current year is on the Xbox Series X. Ew. Bruh. That's dirty. That's... The X-Specs? How do you watch drama? Okay. I see you watching all YouTube on your phone or whatever. Better than PlayStation? Watch your mouth. Yeah? My baby right here. My baby. This thing has survived a fucking flood, right? Look at her. She's beautiful. She's beautiful. She's right here. Right here. To be fair, I also have the Series X, but like... We've never... I got a Series X sent to me, and I've never used it for work. Like, my kids play it. We've never had reason to. Do I deserve everything that happened to me? I'm interested to see what your audience think. Was I a lucky man overall? Unlucky? I don't know. P.S. During Vanilla Classic, an IRL friend told me my old screenshot of me, Kazan as High Wall had been going around Reddit asking for the tables to be added to Classic. Here it is. Oh, it's Reddit and it's down. We're not allowed to look at Reddit anymore. Oh, here we go. Oh, is this your character? Oh, I see. I mean, do we have proof? That's my question. Have we got proof this is you? Kazan, the Horde's Honor. Well, maybe somebody watching this remembers Kazan of the Guild Horde's Honor. Or one of these joint PvPers. Getting this back. I don't know. Hey, Timmy. Getting this back. I don't know. I don't know. I think it's really sad. I'm really... okay, my opinion is here. It's really sad that you're telling me you've played PC games and MMOs specifically for like 20 years. And you have no friends from that time. That's really sad. That's really, really sad. That sucks. I've got friends that will last a lifetime from online gaming. And I appreciate every single one of them. I think it's really tragic that you've been through all that. But I will say this. There's nothing wrong with a lust to do better. If your guild isn't satisfying your needs and you're throwing your time into it, then it is time to move on. But don't burn bridges. That seems to be... Your history seems to be like one of just constantly burned bridges. Right? That's the sad thing. The constantly burned bridges. Okay. Don't get triggered, audience. Don't get triggered. The Guild of Dads. No, don't be mad. Don't be mad. Guilty or not? Pretty guilty. I would say pretty guilty. Yeah, I would say pretty guilty. Daddy Guild, let's go. No, Chloe. No. No, no, no. The Guild of Dads. Oh, my God. Hey, I'm a dad. You can be a guild with me. It's fine. Daddy. Oh, don't say that. That's gross. Daddy is the worst thing ever. Preacher, your lovely chat. I've been such a long listener of Drama Time since way back in Warlords of Draenor's. Drama was great to listen to while I leveled characters in preparation for Legion. But I come to you today with an interesting tale of my first real time ever having to do a trial process for a guild. To understand this story, you have to understand me. I was born and raised in Venezuela. I have been there. I have visited Venezuela. Or if you know anything about what's going on there, you wouldn't be surprised that I haven't lived there for a long-ass time now, and instead live in another Latin American country. I have heard. It wasn't like that when I was there, unfortunately. Or fortunately. Why do people keep coming in here? What do you want? Get out of here. Boo! I started playing World of Warcraft in late Mists of Pandaria, making myself a classic Blood Elf Warlock. At the time, I chose to play on the server Ragnaros, which is one of the Latin American servers. This was a no-brainer, as here I would be with similar players who spoke my language. Now, I don't know how things work in the EU, Mike, but US and Latin American servers are able to cross-realm. And over time, a stigma has developed towards us Latin American players. Well, considering the first thing I'm seeing from somebody who I know is an American is a vomit sign, I'm guessing that stigma does exist, is a piece of information I would pull away from that. Okay. A combination of the language barrier and other factors has led to the general United States player base to label us as toxic, terrible, and overall the worst players to be around. Over the course of Warlords of Draenor, I experienced a significant deal of toxicity. Regularly, I was kicked from groups because I had the word Ragnaros next to my name. I would be lying if I say I haven't heard this before. Now, I'm a big believer in that not all players, and I would give you a happily fair shout. The Americans are wrong, the French are the worst. Jesus Christ. Come Legion, I decided that there was only one solution. If you can't beat them, join them. I re-rolled to a Shadow Priest on a US server since I had decent enough English, having studied at a bilingual school, and the ping difference honestly didn't matter. I was able to find a decent ahead-of-the-curve focused guild and was able to raid with them throughout all of Legion and half of BFA. I eventually re-rolled to a Rogue, which is my main to this very day. However, this guild fell apart midway through BFA. It was late in the Eternal Palace tier, and I had to find a curve guild, so I could continue my love of raiding. I followed your advice, Preacher. I look at the title of this story, and then you say you follow my advice. Okay. If you're about to blame me for some horrible experience that happened to you, I followed your advice, and I spent hours on WoW Progress looking for a guild that fit me, and tried to avoid all of the obvious red flags. I applied to 3 different guilds and waited. Good, 3's alright, more is better. 2 days later, I got a friend request on Battle.net from the GM of one of the guilds. He said his guild was looking for a rogue, my logs looked good, and was I ready? He then told me he wanted to ask me a few questions about myself to see if I would fit for their raid group. All pretty standard stuff, really. My raid history, what I like outside of raiding. But then came the final question. Are you an adult? Are you over 18 years of age? Now, at the time, I was 17. But my birthday was in like 2 months. Who cares? So I said, sure. Yeah, I'm 18. The GM gave me a thumbs up, said things look all right. Discord invite, throw my way. Once I joined, I noticed that something was really fucking weird. Their Discord was a shambles. Super unorganized. And having been used to the very organized nature of my previous guild's Discord, I figured, who cares? One thing that caught my eye, though, was the memes channel. I scrolled for a really, really long time. And I shit you not, every single meme in there was the most boomer, bullshit-ass, old memes I have ever seen. The only one that sticks out in my fucking memory was how most people inspect others. And it was an image of a guy checking out a hot woman. And at the bottom it said, how I inspect people. With someone inspecting another character's gear in World of Warcraft. Now, this might not be considered super weird to some people, but coming from the level of shit posting that was in my last guild, this was a very, very different experience. This was my first time joining a new guild. I figured things must just run differently, guild to guild, so whatever. Let's go a few days forward then, and it was raid night. Finally, I get to show myself, prove how good I am. I log in. I got my invite, join Discord. However, as soon as I joined the voice channel, again, the red flags went off. The first thing I hear is the raid leader. The most redneck southern accent say, yeah, all right, fellas, let's get it going. We also got about ourselves a brand new trial tonight, so let's make them feel welcome. Most of the raid then proceeded to say words of greeting, all in various rural American-sounding accents. My heart sank. Where the fuck am I, and is the Confederacy nearby? At the time, I had never been to the US, and for what I knew, accents like the ones I was hearing are the accents of racists. Jesus Christ. Oh no. Well, this is how... Jesus Christ. Okay. Now I know today that not everyone in the southern part of the US is a racist. But at the time, and especially coming from Venezuela, the media and the people around me really made me think that if you were to talk to someone from the south of the US, you were going to get bashed. And remember, English is not my first language. I had a very noticeable accent, and I was terrified that as soon as I spoke, the immediate response was, why don't you get your ass back to Ragnaros? As much as I wanted to stay muted, I couldn't. Voice comms were a requirement of the guild and the raid. I would be kicked if I didn't talk. And they asked me if I was there, expecting me to respond, so they could know that I was not lying and had a working microphone. I tried my absolute best to hide my accent and sound American. I responded, yes. I sat and waited. Somebody would say something. What was it going to be? To my surprise, they said nothing. And they just carried on. The raid leader then proceeded to butcher my character's name, even though it sounds exactly like it's spelled. He then proceeded to change my name to a shortened version of my character's name, which, whatever, I didn't mind. I just found it weird since I thought my character name was really fucking easy to say. The raid then gets started, and it's much of what one would expect in a normal raid night. Bunch of pulls, followed by some banter during trash. It was during this banter that the raid leader started talking about having a deal with the PTA at his kid's elementary school. I did not know what a PTA is. I'm assuming it's some American thing. The entire raid then proceeds to talk about their kids and their kids' problem. But then it dawns on me. I've just joined a guild of redneck dads. They then proceeded to start talking about the guild hunting trip they were going to go on. And maybe it was worth throwing an invite my way. We're all the guild hunting trip. We're going hunting. Could be brothers. I don't know. The guild hunting trip. Chills, brother. Christ, corn, and cows. If we believe in Jesse. For the next 20 minutes, the conversation was all about how their kids are doing in school, the troubles of parenthood. While there is nothing wrong with that conversation, I'm fucking 17. And I was clearly the youngest person in that raid group by 20 years if it was a day. If it didn't already feel super out of place, I now felt completely out of place. The raid continued like normal until we got to Lady Ashvane. It was here we decided to have our 10-minute break, and during the break, a new conversation started. I have no fucking idea what started it, but some guy started talking about his beer keg that he kept on his PC desk. He's back. Following the beginning of this discussion, they then started posting in Discord pictures of their beer kegs. They all had beer kegs. This entire team was comparing keg sizes during the raid break. As you can imagine, I had nothing to contribute. What do you think, new guy? I mean, I guess. Sure. I guess. I was in shock. I had never heard of someone having something like their own keg of beer. Not only that, but the fact it was common enough that almost the entire raid had one. At this point, the only thing I could think about was, what have I joined? The raid continued. I honestly don't remember anything noticeable happening. During the Queen's Court fight, I got a whisper. It was the recruitment officer for one of the other guilds I had applied for telling me they wanted to trial me. As soon as the raid ended, I G-quit and left and went to a new guild. I stayed with them until Shadowlands when I decided to... Why? Those guys sound awesome. Those guys sound fantastic. Like, the shit you could have heard, the stories you would have picked up. Fucking coward. You could have gone on the hunting trip. You could have taken a trip out there. They were chilled. They're having a few beers. It sounds all right to me. Like, it sounds funny. You could have been the young lad. They would have taught the things those lads would have told you. I would have definitely stuck around. Nah, probably not. At 17, nah, I'm not going to stick around. I'm not going to hang around with Boomer Boys. No, I'm not going to do it. Afraid to be a man. I don't know whatever happened to the dads. I'm assuming they all went to play Classic when it launched. But what I will say, they were by no means bad players. They were all really good at the game. They knew what the fuck they were doing. Their guild just wasn't my kind of place for a Venezuelan teenager. Since this incident, I've told this story to many of my new guildies who all say I should send it in here, and even to my mother, who thinks it's the funniest thing ever. Having just finished my second year of uni before moving to the US to pursue a career in digital media, I decided now would be the time to share this story with your community. Thank you so much for reading my tale, Preacher, and have a great rest of your day. Adios from me, the author. You should have given it a month, man. You should have given it a month. It would have been fine. It would have been so good. You would have had, like, endless stories to tell. You would have heard all sorts of wild shit. Like, you should have stuck around at least till the guild hunting trip to find out what happened on the guild hunting trip. That would have been perfect. That would have been absolutely perfect. Mike, you should read this. It's right up your street. Okay. That sounds ominous. All right. Let's move on to our third story of the day then. The Guild of Dads. They sound like good blokes. The Guild Raffle. Okay. Now, raffles are very boomer. That's some serious boomer stuff. All right, we got some names from our wonderful website supporters. Goodrich, the one and only Wonder Boy. Martin. I'm really sad. I want to find out about that Dad's Guild. I want to know what happened. Did they go to Classic? And Brokey, join us. Guild Bingo when? Sooner than you might think. Greetings to you, Preacher, on a fine Friday afternoon. On behalf of the chat, I would like to first say thank you for your tireless years of service to the MMO and broader game community. Every day your work continues to give us moments of laughter and joy. Please know it doesn't go unnoticed. Thank you. It's nice to know sat here pouring with sweat because it's like 35 degrees in here. It's good. I will preface the following tale I bring you by noting that whilst I appreciate a writer's need for integrity, there are definitely some things I don't remember from a while back. This story has been pieced together from various sources. Some are more credible than others. For you see, I was a mere observer to the events that carried out over autumn of 2022. Following the launch of Dragonflight and the subsequent demise of my friends and my guild. At the center of our tale is a theme I think has been explored in many other Drama Time entries, but one that has yet to be settled amongst the gavel holders in chat. Even now, writing to you in the aftermath of what transpired, I still do not really know if anyone was truly to blame for the events that unfolded. For you see, Preacher, I understand selfish personal motivation is key to being great at anything you do, let alone gaming. But is this worth the sacrifice of those around you? I ask you, is it right to put your personal gain over the success of the group? This is a tale of how a fun idea for a community event sparked a race to selfish perfection with consequences that no one in our guild could have ever foreseen. For it seems in the world of Warcraft, the needs of the many do not outweigh the needs of the few. Yeah. That's pretty accurate, actually. That's pretty accurate. I've dabbled in various games throughout the past 10 years or so. So I find I enjoy many different genres. And no. Pick one and stick to it, you fucking pussy. Yeah? There'll be no enjoying multiple different types of games. I don't think so. And I often switch games after a few months to find new, greener pastures. One game I always come back to now and again, however, is WoW. Usually when my work's a bit slow for a month during the year and it coincides with the release of a brand new patch, I might resub for a little while and check it out. This was exactly what happened earlier this year. I resubbed at the tail end of patch 10.0 of Dragonflight after finding I needed something that didn't require significant concentration, that I could absorb myself in for a couple of hours each day after work and just unwind and have fun. I had heard through various streamers that Dragonflight had shaped out to be a decent expansion, and I was keen to get a taste of it, and if I liked it, find a guild and do something in 10.1. After a couple of weeks of finding the ropes again and leveling up my warrior, I began searching for a now semi-casual guild to suit my semi-busy schedule. I found a guild advertising heroic raiding and a friendly vibe. And after joining, I was pleasantly welcomed to what was honestly a quite open and drama-free community. There were some smaller friend circles that stuck together, but when raiding, everyone was very talkative, very friendly to each other. All was looking super positive, and I had high hopes for sticking with the guild throughout the next patch. However, I wouldn't be writing to you a drama story about how everything went perfectly well now, would I? Our first problem arose, as while I had high hopes, so too, it seemed, had our guild master, Goodrick. Goodrick was a stern old bastard. Super nice outside of the raid, but as soon as he entered that green portal, he came cold, blunt, straightforward. I think many years of consecutive raiding in World of Warcraft had taken its toll on poor Goodrick, whose raid leading now just consisted of the words, move, lust, do it, dispel, stop dying, you're bad, you suck. But thankfully, those commands got us through like 90% of Vault of the Incarnates quite well. That was, of course, except for heroic Razageth, which I was surprised to find with just 2 weeks left in patch 10.0, the guild had just not killed yet. Old Goodrick wasn't happy about this, of course. He was noticeably growing tired of the semi-casual nature of the guild and aspirations of becoming a mythic raider. Thankfully, on that second to final week before 10.0, we did kill Razageth. And it was during the celebrations, a mandatory post-kill photo, that Goodrick made an announcement. I'm glad you had fun. Please start preparing for next patch. For your awareness, I will be recruiting new raiders for next patch. We are going to begin mythic raiding. At the time, we were riding a high. A celebration of what we had just achieved. It was warmly welcomed for those who were there. The guild was so happy and had full new confidence after defeating heroic Razageth. And now, perhaps irrationally, thought they could take on anything. Goodrick began recruiting as soon as a fresh new flock of hardcore raiders could be found. And they joined with the promise, of course, of mythic raiding. The Dodgeball Globo Gym Cobras had unknowingly signed up for annual memberships to Average Joe's Gym. And one new recruit in particular can only be described as a real-life White Goodman. Wonderboy. Wonderboy was not just an Orc Rogue. He claimed he was the Orc Rogue. Wonderboy was very sure of his ability to do DPS, mate. Very sure of his talent at World of Warcraft. And he made sure it was his mission to ensure everyone around him understood that he was the tits. This is a man who claimed lineage back to Zeus, saying his family was, and I quote, oh, he legitimately claimed lineage. Oh, okay, I thought he was memeing. No, this guy legitimately claimed lineage back to Zeus himself. Is it Roger? He would often bring up that his family, and I quote, was from the region. I remember asking, what region? Do you mean Greece? Only for him to reply, mysteriously, yes, and more. I have no idea what the fuck more means, but I thought that maybe meant he was maybe adopted or something. Wonderboy also claimed he had several world records for WoW, including the world first Waycrest mana plus 20, ooh, and longest unbeaten duel streak. Right. Cool. Yes. Thinking back on the latter, I suppose anyone could hold the longest unbeaten streak if they just dueled once and just stopped. But I digress. Needless to say, Wonderboy was a truly, in his own words, hardcore gamer. And to be fair, he was the type of gamer we desperately needed if we wanted to be Mythic Boys. So the guild welcomed Wonderboy and the new players as we entered the first week of patch 10.1. Goodrick did know one thing, though. He wasn't stupid. He was aware he had quite radically changed the vibe of the guild from semi-casual to more hardcore with his rapid recruitment. He would try and help some of the old-school guildies gear up, but they just weren't interested, frankly. They just really didn't give a fuck about farming endless amounts of Mythic Plus. And that was very apparent as soon as the first weeks of 10.1 started. Some players did grind and gear up. Others, and honestly, including myself, sat with our bros on Discord and went real fucking slow as we chit-chatted and had fun. Wonderboy, of course, though, was bred from Zeus's dick himself. He was among the most active players, always farming, always in Mythic Plus, day, night, midday, afternoon, morning, brunch. Our Discord had an add-on that tracked every player's completion of Mythic Plus with notifications, would steam through with plus 12 completed by Wonderboy, plus 13 completed by Wonderboy. Now, this type of thing normally wouldn't catch my eye, except for the fact that, interestingly, Wonderboy's name wasn't the only one constantly showing up in that notification feed. There was another. A familiar name. Martin was the resident shaman for the guild who had been with the guild during the previous patch and was recognized as one of the better old school players. Martin's name was showing up as much as Wonder Boy's on the Mythic Plus completion. For every plus 13 done by Wonder Boy, there was a 14 done by Martin. I wouldn't have normally cared, but except for both were quite evidently well ahead of literally everybody else in the guild, including the other hardcore players. And so it was during the first raid night that many in the guild were shocked, including Zeus's testicle himself, when Martin was top of the DPS logs. By a significant margin. A full 3k above Wonder Boy, who was at a paltry second place. Who cares, you might ask? Who cares? And I'll tell you. Thunderbolt himself gave a massive fuck. He was inconsolable. How could he obtain more world records if he couldn't even be the top DPS in a guild? Wonder Boy never spoke after the last boss. He logged off after the raid without a single fucking word. I didn't know at the time, of course. How could I have? How could anybody have known? But this was the beginning of a feud that would destroy our entire guild. Now, I mentioned previously there was two quite clear groups of players, and no more so was this evident in the first week of raiding. Specifically our Aberrus normal run. We failed to get past 5 bosses, and Goodrick, feeling a need to save face among the new mythic hardcore promised recruits, blamed us. The old schoolers. Those of us who had come from the semi-casual world. It was our fault we had not been able to kill more than 5 bosses on normal. He pointed out that we weren't enchanted, we weren't gemmed, we weren't using flasks, etc., etc. Now, before you declare him as guilty, we agreed that it was lazy as fuck. Yeah, you're right. Oh well, what are you gonna do? It's these guys, they're slacking. Yeah, I am. Oh well. I mean, it is what it is, you know what I mean? What are you gonna do? It is what it is. We do owe it to other players to ensure that we're all putting in the similar sort of efforts, especially for things that just require going to the auction house. But we were casuals. We just don't have the kind of gold or the time or the give a fuck to go and do these kind of things. It just doesn't happen. Now, despite Goodrick's many faults, he wasn't stupid. He knew that he needed to keep the semi-casual portion of the guild to keep the numbers to even put a mythic raid into the floor. And he also genuinely had long-time friends who were part of that group. So he came up with an idea. Like Zeus's cock, it thunderbolted into his mind. And at the time, we all thought it was a wonderful idea. What are we going to do? What do you do? How do you keep your friends here? Team B doesn't work. They need to keep 20 players on the field in order to do a mythic raid. No, you can't guild merge. He wants to keep the old players, but they don't have the motivation. The guides aren't necessary. It's not the lack of knowledge. It's the lack of care. They don't give a shit. They're not going to do a 10 or 12 Mythic Plus weekly vault. They're not going to do it. As simple as that. Hunting trip? Yeah, I mean, raffle's up there, but I'm not sure how a raffle works for this environment. Let's go. Let's see what he does. I'm not sure how you solve this. If players don't care, they don't care. To ensure the casual players had the necessary gems and enchants on raid night, the guild would just give it to them going forward. Okay. To fund this expense, Goodrick would host a weekly guild raffle, complete with prizes that the hardcore players might find interesting. Tickets would be sold for 500 gold apiece, and one could buy as many tickets as they wanted for a better chance to win, thus setting no cap on how much the guild could rake in to pay for the gems, enchants, and flasks the casuals would need. The only rule being that for fairness, a person could only win one prize. That doesn't seem fair. Right? Am I wrong? That doesn't seem fair. You can buy as many tickets as you want, but you can only win one of the prizes. If your ticket comes up, your ticket comes up. That's the nature of a raffle. That's how it works. Yeah, you could buy 1,000 tickets and only win once. You can't ask someone to buy a bunch of tickets and then say they can only have one prize. I have done many raffles when we used to live in pubs, and that doesn't work that way. Would you rather they buy all the tickets? For the purpose of this raffle, who cares who's buying all the tickets? Right? Who cares? It doesn't matter. The whole purpose of the raffle is to fund the entire guild. So if one person's like some Goblin Andy and is spending 20,000 gold to win some prizes that he could probably just buy, what does it matter? Okay. It was all sounding perfect. That is, of course, until one of the guild officers, the night after the first raid, released the list of prizes for the guild raffle. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, that's horrible. Okay, yeah. Oh, this is nightmare fuel. Holy shit. Okay, there are 3 prizes. Can any of you guess? I even have a stab in the dark at what one of these prizes is. At all. They suck? No, they don't suck. At all. ERP? No. I don't think you'll guess it because it's so despicable. It's really gross. In fact, okay, I'm just going to have to tell you because fuck me. This is going to cause a war. Why anybody... If I can tell you right now, every week, Bex and other people, especially Bex, it's part of her job, present to me suggestions for things that you guys might want to do that get things. And if this popped up, I'd be like, absolutely fucking not. Not in a million years. All right, here we go. The first prize. An alchemical flavor pocket. I don't know what that is. Second prize, Tibu's Scorching Straight Sword, which I believe is a transmog item. And the third prize, which in relationship to this prize pool was considered the weakest prize, you get PI for every raid in the next reset. From every priest. Oof. What is that? Of course, we have a lot of players who are not World of Warcraft players. If you're a Guild Wars 2 player, it means that there's a boon in the raid that is specifically given to you, and it will significantly increase your damage. For FF14 players, you are the only one benefiting from... It's a massive damage buff. Let's just put it that way. It's a massive damage buff that is cast onto an individual. Typically, in a normal guild, it's actually distributed not fairly. I want to be clear. PI is very rarely ever distributed fairly, but it's typically given to the classes that benefit the most mathematically. It's typically how it's given out. Like, you'll figure out that certain classes just get a way better benefit from it than other players, and so it goes to them. Sometimes it's actually multiple different people in the same encounter. It's good for somebody at the start of the fight, and then it's a 3-minute cooldown. They might have changed it now. It might be 2 minutes. And then it moves to other people. It's a pain in the ass. Priests hate it. They've hated it for such a long time. PI is power infusion. Yes. 2 minutes. Thankfully, these days, priests give PI to someone else, and they also get it themselves. Back in the day, at least when this was happening, PI was... You couldn't... It's considered a DPS cooldown for that class, but you didn't even get it yourself. You would give it to somebody else. Priests hated it because they have this massive damage buff and they don't even get to use it on themselves. They ended up giving it to other people, and people who are horny about damage bitch about PI endlessly. I could tell you when I was in a guild a long time ago, I was a trial for one of the world first guilds, and in my first week a player invited me and said, "Can I borrow you for a minute?" And I was like, sure. I went to where he was in a city, and he asked me if I could give him a buff very similar to PI. It's a buff that's actually gone from World of Warcraft now, but it's very, very similar to PI, where he did some damage on a test dummy for like a minute, and then he said, okay, I'm perfect. I've built my entire character about you giving me that buff. So you have to give it me next week. And I told him right there and then that is absolutely not happening. That is absolutely not happening. It doesn't work that way. He tried to... Yeah, he genuinely had done that. He had genuinely reforged all the stats on his gear under the assumption that he would have my buff. And was like, okay, I've done all this and I spent a ton of gold doing it, so you need to give me the buff. I was like, that's not happening at all. I don't know who you're talking to. It was not Gingy. I can tell you it wasn't Gingy. It's a guy who doesn't play with them anymore. But still. Anyway. The third prize is PI. Goodrick had obviously run out of ideas for great prizes and had come up with it quickly to get the raffle underway and tempt people in. It was almost immediately that the downfall began. One ticket, please. Posted Wonder... Oh, wait. One ticket, please. Posted Wonderboy in the Discord page. Question. Can you buy multiple pit tickets? If so, I'll take 20, said Martin. You can buy multiple tickets. 150 tickets, please, said Wonderboy. I think I'll have some more too, thanks. 20 minutes later, between the two of them alone, they had bought 1,670 tickets. All right, let's do the math. Ooh, they had spent 835,000 gold. 835,000 gold on the assumption it's 500 G a ticket. The Guild Raffle, at least in the Guild Master's eyes, was officially deemed a success. Needless to say, all raid members were adequately gemmed for the subsequent week's raid. Now, whilst Wonderboy and Martin were... Oh, no. While Wonderboy and Martin were indeed the eventual combined owners of approximately 1,500 of the 1,670 tickets sold, they had failed to identify a fatal flaw in their significant purchases of raffle tickets. Whilst it was quite clear to the rest of the guild that both were after the coveted PI buff, it was not the first prize of the raffle. Wonderboy and Martin, in their haste to obtain more haste, had unintentionally given themselves a statistical disadvantage to getting the prize they sought. Wait, you can't pass? You can't pass? No fucking way can you not pass. That is absolute bollocks. Oh my fucking god. Yeah, why would you pass the first place prize? That doesn't make any sense. I don't even know what the fuck it is. What was the first place prize? An alchemical flavor pocket. Alchemical flavor pocket. What even is it? It's a recipe. Provides the following property. Increase the duration of well-fed by 100% and it persists through death. Great. Wonderful. Sick. Yeah, it's an embellishment that you stick on your armor. Okay. I mean, it does make sense if it's still going for like 60 to 80k, especially at the launch. I mean, this is early days. It does seem like a pretty good prize if it's 50k's worth. All right. Okay. But you see, the rules clearly stipulated that a person could only win one prize, and Wonderboy and Martin now had all but guaranteed they would win the first and second prize. And so it was confirmed on the night of the next week's raid when Wonderboy, despite finishing first in the raffle, had condemned himself to another likely second place on the DPS charts. Martin, of course, won second place in the raffle. And the third place, PI for the entire week from every single priest, went to a holy paladin. I don't think there's a big enough oof in the world to describe that situation. Holy shit. Of course, later I found out Wonderboy was furious with the results and tried pleading to Goodrick that because he had come in first place, he should of course be able to choose his fucking prize. However, Goodrick, already preparing for that night's raid, had adopted his raid alter ego and told him no. Shortly after the raffle, I was getting ready for the night's raid and doing some final item level upgrades when I received a curious message in the pink. That's a whisper to our non-WoW fans. Hey mate, do you want to earn 50,000 gold? It was Martin. Interesting, I thought. Martin was usually rather quiet on comms and never said too much. Do you need something crafted? I replied. No. I just need you to do something for me tonight. Martin replied. As I write this story, it does dawn on me, and I want you guys to know I am aware of it, that I could have probably saved the guild if I had read this last message. Unfortunately, as the raid invites were now going out and my chat box was getting filled with lots of haze and XX has joined the raid, I would only go on to read that message later. That night's raid began very, very well. We quickly breezed through the bosses, with Goodrick sounding more sprightly in comms with his new well-equipped raid team that would surely not let him down anymore. Wonderboy and Martin were again battling at the top of the logs, with both taking the top spot on several occasions. When one would beat the other, there was always a comment of lag, or yeah, my class is crap on this boss, blah, blah, blah. It was mostly harmless jabs, and they were always quickly overshadowed by the positive conversation and jokes from the rest of the team on Discord. That was until we got up to the second to last boss of the raid, the Echo of Neltharion. I cannot believe how recent this is. Fucking PI, man. It was at this moment, a couple of seconds before the pull, that Wonderboy spoke on comms. "Mark of the Wild, please, mate," said Wonderboy. "I haven't had it all raid. Buff me! Buff me! Buff me!" No buff came from the druid. Odd. "The fuck, mate! I also need stam! Stam me! Give me stam! Now! Now! Now!" No buff came. Wonderboy then started to check if his Discord was broken. "Hello? Hello? Is this on? No? Excuse me? Can you guys hear me? Hello? Buffs? 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 Hello?" It was at this moment that Goodrick ruined the fun and actually replied to him. "Guys, can you just buff the raid, please?" I can't," came a nervous mumble from Proki the druid. "What do you mean you can't?" "No, I mean, I can't give it to Wonderboy," Martin said. The Discord fell silent. The only noise that came next was the sound of Martin leaving the Discord call. Goodrick then pulled Proki into the officers' chat. After a few minutes, they returned. Goodrick explained to the raid team that Proki admitted to being paid 50,000 gold by Martin to not buff Wonderboy before the raid. The priest then also apologized to the guild, explaining that Martin had offered him 200,000 gold to not only deprive Wonderboy of stamina, but also to secretly start giving PI back to Martin instead of the Holy Paladin. The Holy Paladin had not noticed because he didn't really care. Wonderboy was stunned. The Discord turned to chaos. Echo of Neltharion did not get pulled that night. The raid was called there and then. Moments later, Martin just G-quit, followed shortly by Wonderboy, who was also fairly convinced the whole guild had set him up to look like an arsehole. With the two best DPS gone from our guild, the remainder of the hardcore members followed shortly in the coming days. I left shortly after, followed by most others. I realise now that the message earlier in the raid from Martin was probably to bribe me not to use Battle Shout. But at the end of the day, part of me thinks even if I had seen that message, our guild was doomed because of these two. As I said at the start of the story, I don't even think anyone did was particularly bad. Yeah, what your guild leader did was really bad. If he's been raiding for fucking years, he should know what PI means to some people. The answer is, of course, too damn much. But that doesn't change the fact that they care too damn much about it. Alright? I can't really classify what Marty did as cheating the raffle. Who cares about the raffle? The integrity of the raffle has been shattered. The integrity of the raffle is at stake. Won't somebody think of the raffle? We have rules, people. Rules. I can't really classify what Marty did as cheating the raffle. It was all for a superficial meter glory. All I have learned is that when personal ego is at stake and logs are king, it is easy to forget what really matters as progress to a guild. Or is it? I put it to your chat to settle once and for all. What would you guys rather? Personal glory at the top of the mountain, or climbing up it hand in hand with your friends? I will tell you this, though. Poor old Goodrick never, ever raided Mythic. All he ever did was get to normal Echo of Neltharion. Back in the day, personal every time. That's a fact. Nowadays, I don't give a fuck. But back in the day, yeah, it was personal. It was glory every time. Like, back in the day, it was all the glory all the time, baby. All the glory all the time. That is exactly what I was going for. 100%. I mean, you know, these days, I've lost a lot of good friends in the pursuit of raid progress. That's all I'll say. I have lost a lot of good friends. I've maintained a lot as well, but I have also lost a lot. So now I don't really care. The best thing to do is find friends who also are good at the game. That's the play. I was a DI giver. Yeah, we've all been there. How many good passes you've had? I've had my world first. I'm okay. I've had my passes. I'm good. I've done what's been needed. I've achieved my glory. I've done it. I can now be the old man. Oh, back in my day, you had to wait for ring procs to get the chance, and so on and so forth. But it is the way it is. It is the way it is. I never got a rank 1 with infinite stars. I got rank 2. I got rank 2 with infinite stars, which is kind of funny. I would qualify for the Dad's Guild now. Don't think you'd be too far behind Paku to be in the Mom's Guild either. I'm just saying. We're hardly sprightly anymore, are we? We'd like a nice quiet drink. Let me ask you this, Paku. You want to go raving or do you want to go for dinner? Which one do you want to do? You want to go raving? Dinner. Yeah, every time. Dinner. You buying? Ladies and gents, that does bring us to the end of the stream for today. There'll be no stream tomorrow. I've got a super busy day filming. I'm also seeing one of our lovely community who is traveling over from Canada. Can't wait to see her. And it is Father's Day celebrations tomorrow as well for me. But we do have a stream on Sunday. We will be having not only the Pride Festival in FF14, but we will also be playing Exo Primal with members of the chat. We have a special link for you guys they provided us if you want to get involved with the game over the weekend. Have some fun. Should be a blast. We're really looking forward to it, so it's going to be a fun weekend. Monday, of course, we are finishing FF7 Remake DLC with Yuffie. We've been playing the FF7 Remake in preparation, of course, for FF16. If you're wondering why the PS5 is next to me, it's because we got Final Fantasy 16. We will be there at launch if you want to come and check it out if you're night playing or chilling or doing whatever. It's gonna be good. And we'll also be attempting to squeeze in Wing 7 of Guild Wars 2. We have one final raid wing for those of you who've been following on with Project MMO. One raid wing remains in the entirety of all Guild Wars 2's raids. So we'll be attempting that as well. So needless to say, it's going to be a busy next couple of weeks here before my trip to New Zealand and Australia, where I hope to meet many of you. Team Australia, I'm going to be in Sydney in July, and Team New Zealand, I will be in ExileCon for the Path of Exile event, so I will be there. But those of you who are UK-based, we will be in London for FanFest in October, and of course, you World of Warcraft fans, we will be at BlizzCon in November. A lot of time on planes coming up for me. But can't wait. Excited to see all of you. I haven't seen you in a long time, so it's going to be good. I'm not coming to Melbourne. I'm going to be in Sydney. Yes, I'm going to be in Sydney. But if you can make it, I'd love to see you. Other than that, have a great weekend, guys. I'll see you again. Bye-bye.